history books got it a little wrong. Not entirely, but enough that you're missing the most remarkable part of the story. You know Harriet Tubman, the heroic conductor who never lost a passenger. Her courage is legendary, but you probably don't know the names of the people who built the network she traveled. The masterminds who engineered escape routes across an entire nation. The strategists who created communication systems the slaveholding South couldn't crack. The financiers who funded thousands of journeys to freedom. The Underground Railroad wasn't just brave individuals helping escapees. It was a sophisticated intelligence network operating for decades, moving an estimated 100,000 people from bondage to freedom. And the architects of this network? Most of their names have been forgotten. Until now, when we talk about the Underground Railroad, we focus on dramatic escapes. These stories are true and important, but they're individual acts within a massive system. Imagine trying to move 100,000 people across hostile territory. You can't do that with individual heroism alone. You need infrastructure, safe houses, reliable communication, financial networks, and intelligence about slave patrols. The network had stations or safe houses, station masters who ran them, conductors who guided people, and stockholders who funded operations. This wasn't a metaphor. It was a systematic organization. Helping an escaped slave was a federal crime under the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. You could be fined $1,000, over $30,000 today, and imprisoned. Vigilantes burned houses and attacked communities. Everyone involved knew the risks. They did it anyway. Let me introduce you to a few of these brilliant people. William Still, born free in New Jersey, joined the Pennsylvania Anti-Slavery Society. He did something remarkable. He kept detailed records. Most operators destroyed evidence, but still conducted meticulous interviews with over 800 people who came through Philadelphia. He documented their names, origins, and escape routes. Why risk it? Because he believed their stories mattered. In 1872, he published The Underground Railroad, our most comprehensive primary source on the network's operations. Without him, these stories would be lost. Then there was Levi Coffin, a Quaker often called the president of the Underground Railroad. For 40 years, his homes in Indiana and Ohio were central hubs. An estimated 3,000 people passed through them. Coffin was a logistics mastermind. He coordinated multiple routes, established communication networks with coded letters, and raised money to fund escapes. When someone arrived at his station, he'd already arranged their next 3 stops. He had backup plans for his backup plans. His organizational genius made prosecution nearly impossible. Jane Grey Swishhelm was a newspaper editor in Pittsburgh. She used her platform to attack slavery, but her real contribution was intelligence. Swishhelm gathered information about slave catchers, publishing their names and descriptions. She used her newspaper to coordinate the network with coded language, signaling safe routes and dangerous areas. She exposed politicians and businessmen who profited from slavery, risking her livelihood and safety to provide crucial information. And John Rankin, a minister in Ripley, Ohio, right on the Kentucky border, his house set on a hill overlooking the Ohio River. Every night for 40 years, he placed a lantern in his window, a beacon visible from Kentucky, signaling a safe crossing point. His house was the first stop for over 2,000 people. His family faced constant threats, but the lantern burned every single night. The network's strategies were ingenious. Thomas Garrett, a Delaware Quaker, was a craftsman who built secret compartments into wagons with false floors and hollow seats. He was caught and bankrupted, but at 60, he rebuilt his fortune and immediately resumed his work. Communication was often coded. The song Follow the Drinking Gourd contained directions using the Big Dipper to navigate north. Wade in the water advised traveling in rivers to throw off tracking dogs. Quilts hung on clotheslines used specific patterns to signal messages. A log cabin pattern meant a safe house. A bear's paw meant take a mountain route. Letters used agricultural terms, like a good crop ready for market, to mean escapees were ready to move. This system operated across hundreds of miles. The audacity of some escapes was breathtaking. Ellen Craft, who was light-skinned, disguised herself as a white male slaveholder, with her darker-skinned husband William posing as his slave. They traveled openly from Georgia to Philadelphia by train, staying in hotels. Individual courage, yes, but enabled by systematic support, with coaching, clothing, and safe houses provided by the network along the way. The sacrifices were immense. In 1851, a Maryland slaveholder tracked 4 escaped men to Christiana, Pennsylvania. William Parker, a formerly enslaved man who'd established a self-defense network, refused to surrender them. A gunfight erupted, the slaveholder was killed, and the marshals retreated. The Underground Railroad moved Parker and the 4 men to Canada in less than a week. Dozens were arrested for involvement, but all were acquitted. The network protected itself through solidarity and silence. Calvin Fairbank, a white abolitionist, was caught twice helping people escape from Kentucky. He was imprisoned for a total of 17 years, enduring brutal whippings. After his release, he wrote, "I have no regrets. I would do it all again." In Boston, Lewis Hayden, a formerly enslaved man, ran a safe house and organized the city's vigilance committee. When slave catchers came for Anthony Burns, Hayden's rescue attempt failed, but it sparked riots and energized the abolitionist movement. He famously kept 2 kegs of gunpowder in his basement, telling authorities that if they raided his house, he'd blow the building up with everyone inside. They never raided. And let's not forget the women who financed freedom. Wealthy abolitionists like Lucretia Mott and Abigail Hopper Gibbons raised thousands of dollars. They provided the financial infrastructure that made large-scale operations possible. Without them, the network collapses. So what is the legacy of these architects? The Underground Railroad proves that systematic resistance to injustice is possible even when the law and government are against you. It required diverse skills: conductors, station masters, fundraisers, journalists. Everyone had a role. We love stories of individual heroes like Harriet Tubman, but she succeeded because of the network. Individual courage matters, but organized collective action changes systems. The principles they used remain relevant today. When we see injustice, how do we respond? We build networks, coordinate action, and use our diverse skills. We create modern safe houses, whether for refugees, trafficking victims, or others fleeing danger. We challenge unjust laws by organizing and building alternatives. Most people involved in the Underground Railroad died without recognition. Their work was too dangerous to publicize. We only know some names because of people like William Still who kept records. But thousands remain anonymous architects whose ingenuity and courage forged pathways to freedom. Their names may be lost, but their legacy isn't. What system of injustice exists in your time that future generations will judge you by? How will you respond? The Underground Railroad architects teach us that you do and need to be the most visible to be the most important. Maybe you're the station master, the financier, the information gatherer. All roles matter. All are essential. Whatever injustice you see, you can't defeat it alone, but organized people with strategic thinking and sustained commitment can move mountains. Build your network. Find your role. Show up consistently. You might never be famous, but that's what the architects did. They built pathways to freedom for people they'd never meet. And they succeeded. Against impossible odds, they forged freedom from bondage. Their names deserve to be remembered, their strategies studied, and their courage honored. If these unsung architects inspire you, share their stories. And if you want more hidden histories of people who changed the world from the shadows, follow for more. History honors the visible heroes, but systems are changed by the invisible architects. Which one will you be?